we want to tell you all a story of a kidnapping, a story of a lustful prince, a bloody war, and fallen heroes, and most importantly, a story of a wooden horse. This story is certainly one that checks all the boxes. For this is the story of the Trojan War.
The Trojan War was between two ancient civilizations, the engineering-based Greek Mycenaeans and the warfaring state of Troy. The Greek king, Menelaus, was married to Helen, up until Paris visited to set up a connection between the two states. When Paris laid his eyes on Helen, everything changed. Her beauty overcame him and he fell in love with her almost immediately, and so did any chances of peace between Troy and the Mycenaeans. Helen, charmed by his good looks and with the words of advice from Aphrodite, she left her life behind with Menelaus and left for Troy with Paris.
Menelaus reacted in the way any reasonable person who lost their wife would. He immediately vowed to destroy Troy as a region. He began to set sail for Troy with a force of 100,000 men. Meanwhile, in Troy, Paris and his new significant other Helen had returned home to his father Priam and his brother Hector. Paris and Helen's relationship was met with disapproval from Hector and Priam, as they knew what the young Prince Paris had just caused, a major conflict between two city-states that he had been tasked with bringing together. The Trojans began to prepare for imminent Greek invasion.
The war sat at a standstill for many, many years. Small advancements were made for both sides, but the most important thing during this time was the rise of two figures, Achilles and Hector. Achilles was a great Greek warrior, thought to be an immortal soldier who couldn't die unless he was struck on the heel. When he was a baby, his mother had dipped him into the magical river Styx. The only part of Achilles that wasn't submerged in the river was his heel. Therefore, he could only be killed by getting struck on his heel. Hector was the son of Priam, the king of Troy, and he was the brother of Prius, the prince of Troy. The Iliad paints him as an ideal warrior whose only goal in life was to impress his father, and felt he could only do so by being a great warrior. He was also a loving father to his son and a husband to his wife. And he was also known for being a trustworthy person.
The first death to come was Hector's. He was killed at the hands of Achilles in a one-on-one fight, in which Achilles speared Hector in the throat. Achilles wanted to show that he was the greatest warrior and wanted to humiliate Hector in death, so he decided to tie Hector to the rear of his chariot and took off. Achilles expected Hector's body to be mutilated, but due to divine intervention, his body remained intact.
Of the war, Paris, overcome with grief after believing he was responsible for his brother's death, set out to kill the man who killed his brother. Helped by the god Apollo, the god of archery, Paris shot Achilles in his heel, effectively killing him. The war had now lost both of its great heroes. With no side holding a clear upper hand, something needed to happen. Something fast.
That something fast came when a Greek noble named Odysseus came up with the idea to end the war, and better yet, end the Trojans. The Trojans had always valued horses as holy figures, and so Odysseus intended to use that against them. The Greeks built a wooden horse and brought it to the gates of Troy to offer as a gift. The Trojans happily took it in and partied as they believed the Greeks had surrendered, but little did they know the Greeks were hiding in the belly of the wooden horse. When the sun set, the cheerful partying turned into a horrific crime scene, and the Greeks left the horse and slaughtered every man within the walls of Troy and enslaved the women and children. The sack of Troy also gave rise to a new figure, Neoptolemus, the son of Achilles, who, much like Paris, got the bittersweet revenge by killing Priam during the chaos.
While there are many writings about the Great Trojan War, it has never been confirmed to have ever happened. Two things that are sure about the conflict: it makes for an amazing story, and it gave us an incredible insight to the fables and stories told by the ancient Greeks. Near the end of the war,